Hey, Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now, and today we're going to get into some mailbag questions as asked to by our subscribers. So if you're a subscriber to the channel, you were able to see my community post, which asked for a mailbag question, and I pulled the 6 or 7 best ones that you guys asked here on the weekend, as we always do here on our weekend mailbag. Start with Curtis, who says, why do people hate on the best quarterback in franchise history, Carson Wentz? I've never really seen someone get turned on so quickly. Not turned on so quickly. Important note there. Okay, so best quarterback in franchise history, well, I would say he's probably the most talented quarterback in franchise history. It's still a little too early, so let's just get that out of the way. Although, I could very well see Carson Wentz, when it's all said and done, being the best quarterback in franchise history. Although Donavan McNabb was pretty good. I mean, 5 NFC title games are nothing to just brush off in terms of quarterback success. The reason why everyone's so quick and quick to jump on Carson Wentz is very simple. Because he was an MVP caliber player in 2017. Everybody anointed him as the second coming of Andrew Luck, the second coming of the great quarterbacks, right? I mean, he was up there as the second best quarterback in the league, the best quarterback in the league, the third best quarterback. I mean, 2017, you got to go back and remember, Carson Wentz lit the league on fire. And so having it be his second year in the National Football League, everyone stood back and said, wait a second. He's already dominating. He's already, has a Super Bowl caliber team. His team won the Super Bowl that year. He's obviously going to keep getting better and better, making him the best quarterback in the NFL. It almost seems like it was too early for him to pop because now he has to live up to those expectations, and he's been unable to do so the past couple of years. Now, with that being said, there is a partially to blame Carson Wentz, and there's some things not to blame on Carson Wentz. I think your first thing you look at here is the weapons in 2017. You have to remember how good that team was. There's a reason Nick Foles, for as great as he was in the NFC title game and in the Super Bowl, he had an unbelievable group around him to elevate him to the level that he played at. I mean, LeGarrette Blount was fantastic running the football, plus they had some other good running backs. I mean, Clement was great that year. Zach Ertz dominated. He was healthy all year. Alshon Jeffery had 789 yards receiving. Nelson Aguilar, for as bad as people think he was in Philadelphia, and trust me, he had some very bad moments, was very good that year. Side note, Aguilar is like leading the league in receptions of 20 yards or more with the Raiders right now. Terrible to see, but just a little side note there on Nelson Aguilar. So Wentz had all these weapons. He was dominating, and then now you fast forward to 2018, 2019, and even 2020. The injuries have been piled up, and honestly, the weapons are the main reason are the main players that have been injured. Look at the comparison right now between, just showed you 2017, and now the weapons here in 2020. Now, only halfway through the season, this can change. But you're talking about Miles Sanders only having 434 yards rushing. He's missed the better half of the entire year. Travis Fulgham is their leading receiver, but was a no-name nobody earlier on in the season. Greg Ward, for as much as we love him in Philadelphia, hasn't done much in terms of receiving yards, and with all the tight ends injured, Richard Rodgers is your leading tight end receiver with a $184 through the air. So, with all of this being said, do all these national names that you guys are seeing pop up on your Twitter feed ripping Carson Wentz, do they have a justification for doing so? Max Kellerman's been doing a lot on First Take. Brian Westbrook on First Things First. Brett Favre obviously did it a couple days ago. Donavan McNabb's been very vocal about it as well. Do they have a point? Yes, Wentz is struggling. Yes, people can rightfully so criticize him for turnovers and sacks and fumbles. But do they understand what Wentz is dealing with? No. And I think Carson Wentz doesn't help himself out whenever he takes sacks, whenever he throws bad picks. But I also don't think people around him are helping Carson Wentz. If you were to put Carson Wentz with the same weapons he had in 2017 this year, I think he would dominate just like he did in 2017, which is why I'm still one of the biggest proponents and defenders of Wentz that you'll find on the internet, because I believe he still has the talent and the skills, and if they can get healthy, and they're getting healthy right now, we've talked about it all week. I mean, Jeffrey comes back, Sanders comes back, I think you're going to see a much different Carson Wentz the final 8 games of the year, and if he stinks, if he struggles, then who knows, maybe there's a change in 2021. I just don't see it happening. I'll ask you guys this question, though, down below, pinned comment. Does Wentz deserve all of the hate? Like, all the blame that he's getting, is it warranted? Is it not? Let me know in the comment section down below. All right, moving on. Next question here comes from, Eddie, who says, I know that he's been under pressure with a dinged O-line, but why doesn't Wentz ever look comfortable in the pocket? This is a great follow-up question because it feeds well into what we just basically talked about in terms of Carson Wentz taking sacks and throwing interceptions. It is partially the dinged-up O-line. I mean, you go back to the Baltimore game, and Jamon Brown was playing right guard, and he gave up pressures on almost every single play. So there is a factor with the O-line. Like, just because Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback doesn't mean Mahomes would be still great. He probably would be, but would still be as good, let's say, behind a very bad offensive line. So the offensive line is one thing, but it's just the fact that Wentz is still taking sacks by holding the ball too long. Now, they're called coverage sacks because the receivers aren't getting open, so Wentz is not wanting to force the throws on those late sacks, but he still rolls out of the pocket, looks for nobody, and then takes a sack instead of just throwing it away to live to die another day. He's currently the most sacked quarterback in the National Football League, and that could be way less if he would just not take some of these dumb sacks. Took a couple of them in, like, let's say the Cowboy game a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it was awful. You just wonder why he doesn't want to throw it away, and I think that's one of the reasons why, again, he's being pressured or criticized so much, because he is hurting the team in ways that you shouldn't have to hurt them. Like, interceptions are one thing, the defender makes a good play, but sacks when you hold the ball for 4 or 5 seconds are all on the quarterback. Just throw the ball away, live to fight another day. There was a great article in the Philadelphia Inquirer a couple of weeks ago after the Baltimore game that really emphasized just how long Wentz is holding on to the football when he's facing pressure. I mean, listen to this. Quote, the most concerning number is when his completion percentage while under pressure, though. Wentz is completing just 40% of his passes when dealing with a pass rush, which is 4th worst among quarterbacks with significant playing time. So people are bringing pressure, he's under pressure, and he's not performing well under pressure, which is something he did very, very well back in 2017. The Inquirer went on to say this about the sack numbers, quote, it's not all on the offensive line, though. Wentz had the second longest time to throw among quarterbacks who played before Monday night's games. He took on an average of 3.27 seconds to get the ball out. A lot of time to ask a patchwork line to hold up. That was back during the Baltimore game, and it hasn't gotten much better in recent weeks. But I would agree. There are times that Wentz is having free blitzers right in his face, and he's not making good throws when that happens, and that's kind of understandable because it's difficult to perform well under pressure. And then, like the Philadelphia Inquirer says here, there are times that he holds the ball too long, and the O-line is blocking pretty well, and he just wants to keep holding and keep holding and keep holding it. At the end of the day, Wentz's biggest problem in 2020 is that he's trying to do too much. And we saw this happen last year where he took it all on himself with no-name receivers and no running back and all the injuries last year, and it worked. This year, he's trying to do the exact same thing, and it's not working. And I think once you get all these weapons back and Wentz realizes he doesn't have to do it all by himself, Goddard comes back and Jeffery comes back and the O-line gets healthy and Miles Sanders has a running game, I think he'll start to calm down a little bit and breathe and go, okay, I don't need to do it all. Let's use the guys around me, and hopefully that happens and Carson Wentz pops here in the second half of the year, like I'm predicting him to go ahead and do it. I'll ask you guys this, though. Who's to blame for the sacks? Is it more Carson Wentz or is it more the offensive line? Let me know what you guys think down below because I think it's a little bit torn, but I just want to hear from you guys. Looking ahead to this week's matchup, of course, they played the New York Giants. That line has moved to 3 right now in favor of the Eagles. It was 3.5, shifting to the Giants right now, so do with that as you will. But I think this is a great betting opportunity to bet on Philadelphia. We talked about this all week long, and our new safe bet that you can do with our friends at BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/EaglesBet. Use the promo code Eagles125. And whenever you put your deposit down, bet on the Eagles to cover, and if they don't, I'll cover your losses up to $50. And again, we talked about this all week long, and I just want to bring it up one more time because it's such a great deal. It's a win-win thing for you. So put your $100 down, and let's say you bet $30 on the Eagles to cover against the Giants, which they probably will. I mean, the Giants aren't that great. Hopefully that happens. If they win, then you win money, and if they lose, and let's say you lose $30, we will Venmo you the difference here at Chat Sports, whatever you lost, up to $50. So make your bets and then email us at eagles@chatsports.com. You see that all obviously on the screen around you right now, but it's a win-win. So if you want to ever jump on betting on the Eagles, now is your chance. Chatsports.com/EaglesBet Eagles125. Let's see. It is going to help. First off, just that Jeffery and Sanders comes back in terms of that Eagle cover. So just a little side note. That leads well into our next question here by Addy, who says, "Hi Thomas, how do you think Carson Wentz will finish off the season with Miles Sanders and Alshon Jeffery back?" A lot of Carson Wentz questions today, which I'm fine with because I like talking about Carson Wentz. I think it makes a difference. I think you can start off in the running game. I mean, Boston Scott is one of my favorite Eagles because of how hard he plays and just the story. He's short, undrafted, and practice squad, and then works his way to be basically a hero last year, and has been a hero during his limited amount of playing time this year. But you also got to realize, for as much as Scott has played, he's nowhere near as good as Miles Sanders, and you can just see that with the stats on your screen and the yards per carry. I mean, almost double the average yards per carry from Miles Sanders over to Boston Scott. I mean, Sanders is going to make an absolutely massive impact coming back, and he is going to play this week based on all reports, and I think that will be a big reason why Carson Wentz will finish off the season playing very, very well. And the Eagles running back depth chart is better when it's Sanders at 1, and then Scott is kind of the multi-tool Darren Sproles role, and not Scott is 1, and then they use kind of Corey Clement as the multi-role Darren Sproles role because just Clement hasn't done well in that sense. In terms of Alshon Jeffery, I had a lot of people comment on my video 2 days ago when I said, Jeffery can still be the top receiving target in Philadelphia for the remainder of the year. It's one of the best weapons Philadelphia has when healthy. People said, Thomas, that's ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. Look at the numbers. When Alshon Jeffery is healthy, he's been the leading receiver in Philadelphia every single year he has been there. Now, Injuries are one thing. Yes, they got to work him back into the lineup. Yes, I understand that. But look at this. Last 4 years, who was your leading wide receiver in terms of yards? 2019, Alshon Jeffery. 2018, Alshon Jeffery. 2017, Alshon Jeffery. And then, of course, pre-Alshon Jeffery was Jordan Matthews. But you get my point. Jeffery makes a difference, and Carson Wentz likes throwing him the football when he's out there. So I fully expect Jeffery, if he's healthy, and if he's still at the same, let's say, talent, skill level as he was even as early as last year, he will be getting a lot of throws from Carson Wentz because Wentz trusts Alshon Jeffery, even though a lot of Eagle fans don't. So I'm very excited to see Alshon Jeffery out there this week. The question really is, who will have a bigger impact in terms of Sanders and Jeffery? Can I just say both? Because running the football is one thing. Play actioning and finding big-time receivers on the outside is another thing. I think Fulgham and Jeffery on the outside together, with Greg Ward and Jalen Reagor working the slot, to me is going to be exciting to watch Philadelphia have and work with here on Sunday. Again, who will have the bigger impact? You guys see the question on your screen. Let me know down below. Theo TV says, let's see, if we make it to the postseason, how much impact do you think would Brandon Brooks, because there's a chance that he could return in the wildcard round, have on our offense? So first off, say if we make the postseason, which is still a big if, right? I don't want to sit here and be like, well, they're guaranteed to win the NFC East, but they, like I said, they beat the Giants on Sunday, and I think they have a very good chance of winning the NFC East, which means they will have the 4 seed, and they would face the Saints, the Bucks, or they would face let me think about this. Saints, the Bucks, they could face the Rams, they face the Cardinals. Like, there are a lot of teams that they could go ahead and face. So I think there's a very good chance of making the postseason. Well, your question about Brandon Brooks is kind of a loaded one, not just because I don't think he's actually going to come back, but because I don't know if I'd want him to come back even if they say he's healthy, just because is it worth a 1 or 2 game run with Brandon Brooks only 8-9 months after Achilles surgery? Like, I would much rather have Brooks rest the entire year and then come back 100% next year versus trying to squeak him in there at 80 or 90% at the right guard spot. And I think the offensive line is figuring things out as of late, and I think with the healthy return of Lane Johnson, and maybe Jason Peters, Jordan Mailata, whatever it is, I think I'll say Amalo coming back at left guard. I think that the offensive line is getting better to the point that they don't really need to get Brandon Brooks back, or at least just don't rush him back, okay? That's my big thing here. Don't rush him back. If he's 100% and can play, sure, throw him in there. I think he'd make a big impact. If not, 90, 80%, whatever it is, I would not force it. Please do not force it. Make sure you guys are subscribed here quickly, because if there is any sort of update on any of this stuff, including the Brandon Brooks stuff, we'll have it covered here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. We're approaching, I think, 15,000 subs, so I appreciate each and every one of you guys who are subscribed. Let's keep going here. I mean, we got time. Romaro Martinez says, hey, Thomas, hope you have a nice day. I think Marquise Goodwin will be an Eagle next season. How do you think Alshon Jeffery produced for the Eagles this couple of games? So first off, yes, Goodwin is signed. I actually thought Goodwin was on a 1-year deal, and then I got the question, did some research. He actually is signed through 2022, and the contract is not something you can really cut because he's due, $3.8 million in base salary. His cap hit would be $4.5 to next year, and then 2022, he's a $7 million cap hit. So he's going to be an Eagle next year, barring the team trading for him, or he didn't play because of COVID reasons this year. Maybe he just didn't want to play football anymore. He could retire. Who knows? But he's definitely going to be a Philadelphia Eagle in 2021. And I think the Eagle hope is that you get kind of a 2017 situation where he has almost 1,000 yards receiving and plays in 16 games. Injury problems have been his Achilles heel, as he played in 9 games last year with the 49ers, but really wasn't healthy in 9 games last year, and that's why he only had 12 catches and a $186. But I really think that Goodwin as a whole could be a big impact in terms of the speed outside. I mean, I don't know if Deshaun Jackson's going to be there next year, and maybe they hope that Goodwin is that take the top off the defense guy. Hopefully he's staying in shape, as he, of course, has sat the entire year. What would you guys want to do with Goodwin, though? Would you want to obviously keep him? I mean, I think they're going to go ahead and keep him. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I think trading him would be very tough, and they really can't cut him. But let's go one more question here. All things considered, are we looking at next year's team already? Hang on. All things considered, are we not looking at next year's team already? Considering cap space and what I'm assuming will be an uneventful draft, if they can't get it done this year, is there even hope for next year? Jeez, this is like a dark, really glass half empty kind of question. What do you mean we're not looking at next year? They're doing first in the NFC East right now. First off, the cap space is a problem. We've talked about that. They got to figure things out and make some cuts. I'm sure that they will. It's not going to be an uneventful draft. I mean, the draft's always eventful, and they're going to have multiple picks early on. Obviously, first, second, third. I mean, they're going to be able to make some moves in the draft. And even if they can't get it done this year, I think they can retool and be ready to go next year. So don't be such a Debbie Downer, right? Be first place in the NFC East. This year first, then we'll look at the draft next year. Okay, I'll finish on this. If you stay this long, are you a glass half full or a glass half empty Eagles fan right now this year? I'm a half full guy. I'm a positive Eagle fan, Here's what you guys are. Let me know in the comment section down below. There you go, though. A longer mailbag. Try to get as many questions as I possibly could in there. I appreciate each and every one of you. Go Eagles. Beat the Giants on Sunday. We'll be right back here on Sunday night for our recap of the Eagles-Giants game. Again, for Chat Sports, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off for the rest of your day.